Good morning, everybody. Well, we all know how important physical distancing is right now, but what do you do if a friend or family member isn't taking it as seriously?
That's a great question. On Skype with us right now to help answer that with real ways to talk about this uncomfortable subject is psychotherapist at Integra Health, Nawanga Musisi. Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. And this is a very uncomfortable topic for a lot of people, because how do you say to somebody that's not respecting it, hey, this is something you need to do?
That's a great question. Tensions are understandably much higher than usual. So it's a lot more easier for us to slip into arguments. So definitely approaching these conversations with more discernment rather than judgment is going to be incredibly helpful. And, what would the difference be? Well, judgment really closes our heart, whereas discernment allows it to stay open, but protected with very clear boundaries.
So, what would that sound like?
So understanding each other's point of view, appealing to our collective sense of responsibility during this time, as well as sharing our own experience of the situation, be it our own, struggles with coping or worries for the future. These are kind of some of the lines that we might take when we are navigating these difficult conversations, rather than, going straight to accusations. You're not doing this. I'm judging you for not following this rule, or not, not making the correct judgments that I deem to be correct.
Would the conversation with somebody about this, maybe someone that you're friends with or a family member, how would you approach that differently than, say, a stranger in line at a grocery store?
Okay, so I would not go, straight at the conversation with, you don't understand, you're bad, and therefore, I don't love you, for example. Mm-hmm. It would be more along the lines of I love you, but I'm choosing to set my boundaries, in this way. I'm choosing to go down this route of physical distancing. And if you make a different, choice or whatever, I'm going to have to make some type of changes with regards to how we interact with one another.
Now, Wang, it's interesting, not one day goes by where I don't get a tweet of somebody saying, my son or daughter is working at a grocery store, and I can't tell you the way that they're being mistreated, yelled at, there's verbal abuse. Everybody's, it's like tensions are running so high, and they're just lashing out. So what do you do to a stranger who might not be heeding or who's acting in a certain way? How do you protect yourself? What do you say? I do agree, acting as calm as possible and tone goes a long way. But what sorts of things can you say to somebody to diffuse that?
So I'm definitely seeing, even in my own exploration of going into the grocery stores the one time that I had to go, being very clear, I guess, with your communication, excusing yourself from the situation. I think that understandably, everyone knows, because of what's going on, that, if you're excusing yourself, let's say from the lane or from the cash section, no one will fault you from it. Really knowing that you don't have to engage in that moment. There are other ways to go about it. If you feel uncomfortable, just kind of removing yourself from that situation would be best.
Yeah, I think, and you mentioned it with your loved ones, right away telling them, I care about you, and this is kind of why you want to do it. I know from personal experience, my parents, who I haven't seen in, over 3 weeks, as a lot of people have not seen some family members, over the weekend, we FaceTimed for about 2 hours, and I said, I would love to come see you. I would love to, but I care about you so much that I'm not going to.
That's right.
And I think that's part of the conversations that we need to have with family members as well, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's exactly how the conversation would go. Really letting them know, speaking to the collective effort that we're making, letting them, really knowing that this is temporary, this is for now, but we have to make these tough decisions now so that we have all the extra time to stay together and rejoice and be happy and merry later.
Exactly. And you can flip it and say, listen, what would you do if you had the choice to protect me or not to protect me by seeing me for a few minutes or an hour? What would you do? And then they get it. Of course, they don't want to put their kids at risk, just as we love them so much and don't want to put them at risk if they have weakened immune systems or they're older or whatever it is. It is so important so they understand. A lot of people say, I don't want to watch the news. It makes me depressed. Just watch enough to get informed. Would you say that's another good thing to do so that you are educated rather than burying your head in the sand?
Yeah, so everything in moderation. Because of the ongoing situation, we are really having to practice the things that we preach, right? So everything in moderation. You know, obviously don't binge anything. It could be movies, could be, you know, TV shows, could be news, etc. Watching, you know, how much information we take in, what overwhelms us in the moment, what does not overwhelm us, what's, you know, what we can actually tolerate. Everything would have to be taken within moderation at this point.
Those are some great tips. Thank you so much. Nawanga Musisi, psychotherapist at Integra Health, joining us this morning, talk about physical distancing and the importance of it, and have those conversations. Just be calm, everybody, and have that chat. Thank you so much. We'll have more Breakfast Television coming up.